Hi everybody. So in response to requests for other people wanting to be able to make the port shirts that you saw me making on the news channel, I make these for the cancer office that I work at for patients there. They are commercially available shirts, but I take 100% cotton t-shirts and I just sew a zipper in them and I give them out to patients. It's a cost-effective way and a really nice thing to do for patients. They're able to use the port shirts for easy access to their portacast. It's easier for the patient and for the nurse. So without further ado, I will share with you my supplies, how to make the shirt, and then I can link my supplies in the bottom, or at least a description of the supplies that I use, so it'll be easy for you to find those. So happy shirt making. So I like to use the Gildan 100% cotton shirts. I'm not sure if you can see that. These are the heavy cotton. This is a size medium, but you can see here it's 100% cotton. I really like this brand and this style number. This is the G500. They're not, some of the other brands I've noticed are a little bit more see-through for the same, 100% cotton. These are really nice, durable shirts. They hold up really well with sewing. I also have done some heat transfers and make custom shirts, so these also really hold up well for that. And for the price point, I get my shirts on shirtspace.com. It's a really great price for the shirts. I can get them for about $2.50 to $3 a piece, depending on if they're having a sale, and the colors that you choose. But that's a really great company to use. They get them to me quickly. They have tons of colors in this G500, and they seem to really be durable. The patients are, I've had patients wash them many, many times and use them, and we've not had any issues. They also have a poly cotton. I don't know that style number. It might be G800, but it'll say poly cotton in the description. Those are nice too. They're about $1 more per shirt, and they don't have as many colors, but I know that these can shrink. Sometimes you have to size up for patients if they're gonna kind of right there in the middle, as far as if they're right on the edge of a size or another. I would always say to size up in this style. And I encourage them to dry them on medium heat. That way you don't have as much shrinkage. But it's a great shirt, and you can use whatever shirt you want just for the price point, since these are donations. I've just found that that's a good shirt for me to use. So having a nice heavy shirt to use is key. Having good supplies for measurements, cutting tools is going to make your job a whole lot easier. Prior to October, I have never sewed in my life. I did cross stitch when I was about 10 with my mom making pillowcases, but in terms of cutting anything or measuring, or never used a sewing machine in my life, but YouTube's magic, and with a little prayer and a little practice, I have gotten pretty competent. So, but having tools that make things easier for you is really key. So I just got these on like Amazon, a cutting mat for my rotary tool, and this is just our larger ruler. I use this when I'm doing my fusing. And then this is just a smaller clear ruler. I like the clear because you'll see in a minute when I'm measuring my fusing why it's nice to have the clear. And it does have the measurements in the middle. We'll go over that some more as well. But again, just Amazon stuff is going to make your life a lot easier, or your local craft store, Walmart, whatever. Definitely pins, a pin cushion. The fusing we'll talk about too. The one that I use is, this is like a midweight fusing. It comes in a bulk roll. I think the brand is Pellon, P-E-L-O-N. I found that this lightweight is nice. It's not stiff. The heavier weight ones can be a little stiff on the ends. And then the lighter weights can be a little bit, they have too much give. So this midweight is a nice one to use. And mine does not come pre-cut. So that's where my rotary cutter and my mat and my ruler really come in handy, because I like to pre-cut all my fusing to have a little supply to go off of, and then I just do some bulk cutting, when I start running low. So obviously zippers, I get my zippers online through Amazon. You can get them at local craft stores. I will tell you it costs more to get them, you know, at local stores. They come in a variety of sizes, so just be sure when you're going to order your zippers that you're choosing, you know, the size that's appropriate. I use 6 and 7 inch zippers just for the ports. I find that that's plenty long enough. If you want to be bold and decide to do an arm zipper for, like, if someone has a pick line in the arm, for all my medical people, if they have a central line in the arm and they have a longer shirt versus having to roll up their sleeve, you can actually sew a long zipper down a long sleeve shirt. I've not gotten that bold yet, but it can be done. And for anybody wanting to do that, they do make 9, 10, 12, 14, 20 inch zippers. This is one of the longer ones. I think this is a 9 inch. So if that's something you want to do, or if you're making any other kind of adaptive clothing, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be for a port, but you can sew a zipper in just about anything with the video that I'm going to show you today. So Amazon, lots of colors, lots of sizes. Just be mindful when you're going to measure which size you're measuring for, because that can goof you up when you go to cutting and sewing. Okay, lots of beautiful colors, really fun. So we'll move on over to the ironing board next, and I'll show you how to place the fusing onto your shirt and the steps that are going to go next. And we'll have some more supplies to go over in just a bit too. So here's a shirt that I'm going to be preparing for a patient. The first thing you'll want to do is, because we are going to be working on the inside of the shirt to add our fusing, I turn my shirt inside out. So you can see here that I've turned my shirt inside out. I am working on the front side of the shirt because that's where my zipper is going to go. Now, when you have a patient in mind and you're thinking about what side their port is on, the majority of patients that I've taken care of have their ports on the right side. People can have them on the left. I've even had patients who had them sort of in the middle. So some have them a little bit lower, some have them a little bit further up into the shoulder. So if you're making one for a particular patient, just keep in mind the position of their port when you're going to place your fusing to figure out where your zipper is going to go. If you're just making bulk shirts to be able to take to your local center to donate, I usually stick with a standard measurement just because the majority of patients are going to have their ports in pretty much the same place. So when you're going to lay your fusing down for your port, the patient that I'm thinking of today has a port on his right side. So the shirt is inside out. However, if the patient is standing in front of me, okay, their port is on their right, which to me is their left. So I've had issues where I was thinking, okay, it's on their left. No, just always keep in mind which side it's going to be on. So if it's, even though it's inside out, it doesn't matter. If their port's on the right, this is the right. Okay, when you go to turn it right side out, it's the same. So you don't have to, it's not a mirrored thing. If it's on the right side, you lay your fusing on the right side, provided your shirt is turned inside out as such, okay, which it would have to be to lay your fusing. So for this patient, we're going to do a right side. I like to cut my fusing in 1-inch pieces. Now, this is where my rotary mat really comes in handy. So I'll show you what I like to do for that. So again, the fusing is going to come in bulk. Mine does. You might be able to buy pre-cut fusing, which would be really nice. But again, I'm always trying to think of, you know, the most cost-effective way to do things. Again, because any donations that I'm receiving, I'm trying to be a good steward of that money. And I want to be able to provide as many shirts as possible to patients without, you know, spending money on things that are nice to have, but you don't need to have. So I cut my own. So when it comes in bulk like this, I like to lay, and this rotary mat is, it has 2 sides. Just make sure you're measuring on the right side. The other side is metric. So make sure you're on the correct side. We're in inches on this side. Now for the zippers, I will grab a couple and show you. So here we have zippers. Now your zipper length, your zipper is measured from the top of the metal to the bottom of the metal. So don't think, and you can see on my mat here, this zipper is, okay, just almost 8.5 inches long from fabric to fabric. However, my actual zipper is measured from the metal piece to the metal piece. So this would be considered a 7-inch zipper, okay? Definitely keep that in mind, because when you go to cutting and things, if you're measuring including the fabric, you're going to goof it up, okay? And I would encourage you to have a practice shirt. If you're not familiar with sewing, or if you're just getting started, this was my practice shirt, and it looks gross, it's dirty, it's stained. It was one of my husband's work shirts. But this is my practice shirt. So I practiced sewing, I practiced measuring with this shirt, and you know, you can sew zippers all over it if you want to. You know, but this was just a way for me to get familiar with the stitching, with how I wanted it to lay, with how I wanted it to be positioned in terms of where the port would be. So have a practice shirt, and don't be afraid to practice, because you don't want to waste your money on the good shirts that you have for patients, and you know, continuously goofing those up, and then you're kind of throwing your money or your donations away. So I would encourage you to have a practice shirt of some kind. And that was mine. So again, with the measurements, and I was trying to find one that is a 6-inch so you could see. And these are different brands. This is a YKK. I do find those are really nice. The zip is really good on those. For the most part, the ones that I've found on Amazon, they're fine. I get the polyester zippers. I don't, you know, these are polyester teeth, or I think they make some with nylon teeth, but yeah, I guess you can put whatever you want in there, but for the ones I make, these are nylon or polyester teeth. So this one, still a 7. Just gonna try to show you a 6-inch. I might not have one, but you kind of get the idea that, you know, the fabric is one thing and the zipper is another. All right, these are all 7-inch, but you get the idea. If it was a 6-inch one, you're going to be 6 inches from the bottom of the metal to the, there's one, look at that. So there's our 6-inch zipper. So our bottom of the metal to top of the metal, and it's at 6 inches despite the fabric going up to 7.5. Okay, so there you go. So when I go to cut my fusing, and it's see-through, so you can kind of see it here. Another way to do it is to just use a ruler. So you can go like this. If I'm using a 7-inch zipper, then I want my fusing to be 1 inch wide and 8 inches long. That gives me some room at the top and some room at the bottom for, you know, adjustments. I don't want any rough parts of the zipper scraping the patient. So having that extra bit of fusing helps protect them from the metal bit here. Okay, if you choose to have your metal on the inside. This one is done metal on the covered metal, and this one is exposed metal on the outside. So regardless, I always cut my fusing at least 1 inch longer than my zipper. Okay. So again, one way to do this would be to, you know, just lay your fusing down. If it's hard for you to see on the cutting mat, you can, again, use a ruler like I've done here. You can mark your fusing. I don't usually mark mine. I just kind of run the rotary cutter straight up against the ruler, and I'm good to go. So position my ruler. Again, for a 7-inch zipper, I want my fusing to go to 8 inches. And you kind of have to be coordinated because you want to hold this tight. If you get up here and it starts to slide, you're going to have uneven fusing. Worse things have happened, but it just gets a little goofy. So hold it down tight. Be careful with that rotary cutter. I lay it right up against my ruler. I'm not left-handed, obviously. Let's do it this way. So here's my 1 inch. All right, laying it straight up against, and we're cutting to 8. I usually cut a little further so I can cross. And then here's my 1 inch. Okay, I hope I didn't just cut my shirt there. All right, so there's that. And if you have some bit at the bottom, you can just cut down. There we go. And it's a little bit crooked, it's fine. For the most part, you have your 1 inch across and your 8 inches long. So there's my fusing. I like to cut mine in bulk so I have a big stack to pull from, but I just wanted to be able to show you that. So we have our fusing. It's ready to be ironed on. Make sure when you're going to do your ironing, again, I have my shirt positioned. This is, this is an extra large shirt. So sometimes with these larger shirts, I like to pull up some on the, that way I can kind of see the armpit area, and I'm going to tell you why. So I like to have the collar exposed a little bit. So I got my collar up here. I like to be able to visualize the arm, the pit of the shirt, because usually I try to make that in more of a diagonal line here. Again, if it's for a specific person and you know their port is one place or another, you can customize that. But for the majority of patients, usually their port's going to be kind of in this area. So you want this zipper to overlie that area, which is usually kind of in line with an armpit. So I have my iron on. Mine is set to 4, which is like a cotton setting. You don't want this fusing to melt, but you do want the sticky part of the fusing to fuse to the shirt, obviously. So I don't know if you can tell, there's like a shiny part of the fusing. That is like the glue. That's what's gonna stick to the shirt. And the fusing is used to stabilize the zipper. I didn't say that. Can you make it without the fusing? I guess you could. The videos that I saw recommended it to be used, so I've never tried it without it. It helps to stabilize the zipper. That way you don't have the material getting eaten up in the machine as you're going to sew. So I've always done it with it. So make sure your fusing is down the appropriate direction. You don't want to iron on top of the glue because it's going to stick to your iron. So going up from the armpit area, I like to lay my fusing down. And it's not sticky on its own. It won't get sticky until you heat it. So you can reposition it as needed. I've done this enough to where I can kind of eyeball it, but for me, I don't want the fusing to go all the way up. I don't want to have to trim it. I usually like about 1/4 of an inch from the top. So, and usually I can kind of eyeball that and I'm pretty much spot on. So just because I've done enough. So you kind of lay it down there where you want it to be. And then you're just going to, you're going to press the iron, the heated iron, against the fabric. You don't want to, you know, back and forth, scrubbing, because you're going to compromise the integrity of the fusing. You know, it's malleable, so it can move around. But we're really just trying to get that heated up so that it will stick to the shirt. And you can lightly move it around. I like to just press it. If you can hear my family in the background, I'm sorry. They're goofing off in there watching the football game. We're having a good time. All right. And I'll just usually let it cool. And then just kind of run my finger along to make sure that I don't have any spots that are lifting. It looks like it's down pretty good to me. Okay. So at this point, we're going to measure for the actual zipper. We want to mark that. I've seen other videos where people do different things. This is just how I do it. So again, if you have more experience in the sewing arena, A, God bless you, and B, do it your own way. Because I'm sure it's great. So you can buy a plethora of different tools or markers on Amazon, crafting stores. I have taken to using a washable Crayola marker. These seem to work really great for me. I actually had a few of the pencils, and they would rip my fusing. You know, as I'm going down the ruler to mark, you know, the pencil is kind of scraping across the fusing and it tears it up a little bit, and the integrity of the fusing is compromised. So these work really well. They slide down. This is just a pipsqueak with a pointy tip in a light gray color. That way, if you're using, you know, a lighter colored shirt, again, it's washable, so it's going to come out. Doesn't matter much. But if you were to accidentally mark the shirt, you know, you wouldn't have any real staining. This is a pretty light, kind of a dove gray, but any color is fine. Again, just make sure it's washable. Okay. So as we go to measure for the zipper, I have chosen to do a black zipper in this shirt. I usually like to lay my zipper alongside the fusing. Again, just to eyeball, make sure that my fusing is long enough. Now, looking at it lying here, you'll notice that you have these tips at the top. When I sew my zippers in, I like to go to about there. Okay, so I have a close to this much that's going to tuck in under itself at the top of the shirt. Okay, and that'll make more sense when we get to the sewing machine. But so this is just me, guys. Okay, so I lay my zipper down, starting at the very top. Again, I'm 1/4 of an inch from the top of the collar. I hope you guys can see all this. Okay. Okay. I like to, and this is why it's nice to have the clear ruler. Okay. So it has the piece in the middle that's going to be your 1/2 inch marker in the middle, your 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and of course an inch across. Okay, this one is a really, I got it from Walmart. It's like $1.50 or something. Okay, but the clear one is essential. I lay it down with the 1/2 inch mark at the outer edge of my fusing. Okay, I'm at the very top edge of the collar. I'm 1/4 of an inch at the fusing, which is what I like. Okay, so what I need to do is mark where the center of the zipper is going to be. That allows us to figure out where to cut for the zipper. Okay, so because I'm at the 1/2 inch mark, I knew my zipper is going to be in the middle, because again, this is a 1 inch piece of fusing. Okay, this is a 7 inch zipper. You can see because I'm metal here at the 7, metal here at the very top. Okay, so when I have a 7 inch zipper, I like to come down to the 7 and the 7 1/4. I make 2 markings here. Okay, then I'm going to draw from the top, trying not to block, from the top very lightly down to that first top line, to my 7 inch mark. Okay, so lifting the ruler up, you can see now I have this nicely marked line down to the 7 inch mark. I'm going to slide my zipper over. At this point, you can see where I made the 1/4 inch down. What that's doing is that's allowing, once we cut, before we, get to sewing, that's going to allow there to be a little gap right here for this metal piece to fit in. If you want your metal piece to be under your fabric, as you can see here in my practice shirt, in this one I had the metal under the fabric here. This side, I have the metal exposed. This is the way I make my shirts. All of my shirts are like this. That's just what I prefer. It's easier for me. I don't think it looks bad, and they just turn out fine. So this little part here is why you're making this 1/4 inch measurement. So at this 1/4 inch measurement, you're going to draw a line from side to side. Again, a 1 inch, okay, all the way across at the bottom. Okay, and you have to be careful with the markers. I mean, if you put them on the side too much, they're going to give you this really super fat line. You know, up here I was doing pretty good on the tip. Down here I kind of made a fat line, but that's okay. So at this point, I need to know how much of a gap to create to put for this zipper stop. Okay. Again, what I like to do and what I have figured out has worked really well for me is I get on this bottom line. I have my lines lined up here, okay? From this, I'm gonna have to turn you a little bit so you can see. So from here, I like to line up my, you know, here's my line, so I know I'm an inch across. Here's my middle line, okay? This is a 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. Here at 1/8, okay, is where I like my V to go. So we're gonna make a marking at the 1/8 here and the 1/8 here. So you have this little triangle, okay? When we go to cut this out, that's going to be the hole for this little zipper stop to be in. It'll make more sense once we get to the sewing machine. So again, from the bottom line, lined up to the 1/8 on either side of the half, okay? So you have straight down and then your little V, okay? So we'll move on over to the sewing machine and I'll show you how to cut this out and we will get to sewing our zipper in. Moving to the sewing table, I like to have really good light here so that I can see. The LED light on my sewing machine is not that bright. At the sewing table, some of the supplies that you'll need once we get over here. This is the best stuff. Some people like to pin or use the magic clips for their shirts. I'm not coordinated enough for all that. So I tape my shirts, and this is not just any tape. This is Wash-A-Way Wonder Tape. So it's Dritz Quilting Wash-A-Way Wonder Tape. It's double-sided. It disappears when you wash. This has been a major game changer for me in terms of speed and quality for my shirts. You can get it on Amazon. It's usually about $10 for the 25-yard pack. And this is a 1/4 inch size, so pay attention when you're ordering. This stuff is amazing. So I use that. When I'm doing shirts in bulk, after I do my measurements, I just take a pin, because I don't make a shirt from start to finish. I'll do step 1, and then I'll get a bunch of shirts ready in this staging. Then I'll bring all those shirts from stage 1 to stage 2, and then I'll do that. So as I'm staging shirts and measuring for zippers, I will choose the zipper I want, and then just pin it to the shirt, hang it up, and move on to the next shirt. So that by the time I get there, I don't know if you can see all these, but I have a rack of shirts behind me that are all staged and ready to be sewn. So that's where the pins come in handy. So that's for that. Also, obviously a sewing machine. This sewing machine is a brother. I got this I bought this in person at Walmart. I've never used a sewing machine in my life. I got a pretty an expensive one just because I didn't know if I would be able to stick to this, and I have. So, but this is an LX 3817 brother. It has a bunch of stitch settings. I only use one. It's been a fine machine for me. You don't have to go spend $1 million on a sewing machine. I think this one cost me like $100 or $130. I mean, nothing crazy, and it's been great. So you want to have bobbins that match your particular type of sewing machine. Again, on Amazon you can get them. I just actually ordered a pack. These are really nice. They already come in the little cassettes so that they're nicely organized, and a lot of them are universal. You just have to make sure you're picking the right one for your sewing machine, so keep that in mind. Depending on how many colors you want to be able to offer for your shirts. Thread, you can buy thread. I chose thread from my local Walmart, again, in just like a bulk bag, because I thought, well, am I going to be able to do this or not? And it's been great thread. I use this is Aleene brand all-purpose thread. It's 100% polyester. They have some pretty standard colors. I did grab a few bags, so I have them separated. What I really prefer is Coats & Clark all-purpose. This is a really nice thread. Again, this is 100% polyester. They have tons and tons of colors to match the shirts that you want to do, and you can get as wild and crazy as you want. But having good quality thread is really important as well. So, you know, pick what you like, but it is the 100% like all-purpose polyester thread. And I keep it organized by color just because it keeps me organized. So, so we had our Wonder Tape, our bobbins with thread, scissors. I used to think that scissors didn't matter as much, but having a good quality pair of scissors to cut your fabric, it does matter. These are super nice. I got them in like a pack on Amazon. It came with different types. There's different several different scissors in the package, but these are a Singer brand. They're nice because they're angled, they're heavy duty, they cut the fabric really nicely without fraying. These are just snipping scissors. I use those for the thread, and you can buy these at your local craft store or order them. These are Westcott titanium. These are really nice because they have a super nice tip, and it's a little bit angled for catching my thread and end pieces, so these are great too. A seam ripper, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I really like having I guess I would call them hemostats because I'm a nurse, but these are kind of a long neck tweezer, I guess you could say. But I like having a set of these because it's nice to grab your thread. Sometimes you need it for cleaning your machine. You need to keep your machine clean as well, because it's going to affect the quality of what you're turning out. If you're having a dirty machine, you're going to have issues, and you're going to be like, why is this happening? You have to clean your machine. So I do use those. Another thing I use is this Aleene's Quick Dry Fabric Fusion, and I use that when I go to cut. I'll show you. It doesn't gum up your machine. I only use a tiny little dot for one part of my project. You can get this in, like, I think I got a 3-pack. It was like $5 or something, but this is really nice. It's got this little needle tip, and I'll show you where this comes in handy as well. So I like to just kind of keep all this stuff within reach. Okay, so here we are with our shirt. We're not going to do a pink thread for our shirt today. I prefer to stitch with the color of the shirt, so meaning I don't use a contrasting thread for my zipper, mainly because I don't have the confidence in myself to create a straight line that looks good. So the thread that I choose for sewing my zipper in is actually going to be the color of the shirt, or something similar to the stitching of the color in the shirt. So for this project, I don't have anything that greenish color, so I think we're gonna try to go in with like a gray. that's about the best I've got. So I have this gray color, and I think it'll work just fine. I've made plenty with it so far. And it'll blend pretty good. Okay, it's kind of a gray green, so we'll be good. So go ahead and choose that. If you're not sure how to wind a bobbin, you can find a video on that pretty much anywhere online. That's how I learned. It is not hard. If I can do it, you can. So I chose my coordinating thread here. So we're going to set up my machine. This is how my machine is set up. It's a quick set bobbin. Just drop it in, wind it around. We're good. See me in my glasses because I can't see. And it is so key to have good lighting when you're doing your project. I kind of like to use somewhere along those lines. Yep. All right, and this is where these long tweezers come in handy. They're really nice for helping you to thread your. Some of those fancier machines might have a needle threader. Mine does not. So, I get a threader by hand. Just stick her in there. One thing we didn't talk about yet is zipper foot. I just have this, this particular zipper foot. You can get right up close to the zipper. That's just what works for me. There are tons of different, I think there's, yeah, this is a zipper foot that came, I think, with my machine. Actually, it was a plastic one. I didn't care for the plastic zipper foot that came with my machine. It took me some time to figure that out. It came with this plastic one. I didn't care for that. And then I moved to a metal zipper foot. And then I have now this narrow one, and this works really well for me. So just make sure when you go to switch your feet, do what you like, and make sure you're getting the one that's appropriate for your machine, whether it be a low shank like mine or what have you. Okay. Needles, I like to use, and this is key, something else I learned from a local sewing store. Regina from the Charlotte Sewing Company was great. These are organ needles. The Organ Needle Company, these are good. I think it's called Schmetz is also another one. I ordered these on Amazon, but these are ballpoint, like a ballpoint pen. This is a ballpoint needle. Something about the needles that came with my machine, they don't work for these knit fabrics. So having these knit fabrics, this t-shirt fabric, you need a ballpoint needle. So I did have to contact Brother. I think I looked on their website and they had a live chat option, and they helped me figure out which needles would go with my machine and were ballpoint. So I ordered these and they are great. Okay. I've only got 6 left. I don't know. I think I've been through 3 needles so far, and I've made lots of shirts. So if your machine starts making funny noises, one thing might be because it needs a new needle. So keep that in mind. I've also broken some in this endeavor. So that's nice to have as well. Good supply of needles. So I'm going to put my zipper foot back on. We're going to grab our bobbin thread here at the bottom. Another reason why I love these little tweezers. They can grab my bobbin thread here and I can pull it over to the side. So for my machine and for what I'm doing, I like a 4 on my tension. So that's the setting I leave it on all the time. Now for my stitching, if you can see on my machine here. I have mine on 11. Okay, that means my needle is to the left of my zipper foot. Okay, the way that I sew, that works for me. If you know a different way, go for it. I don't ever change it. Once I figured out I loved it and it worked, I never moved it. So do what you do. And there's plenty of videos on how to set up the machines and whatnot, because that's how I learned. So once I get over here, I have my shirt ready. It's already been measured. Another thing I like to do, I forgot to tell you this, you don't have to do this. I have branded my shirts. I created a design, and then I have a heat press, and I heat press these to the shirts. You can also do sew-in labels. Those are nice as well. I had someone gift me with a stack of sewing labels that were great. They are more expensive and a little more time consuming, I think, in my opinion. These are also great, or you don't have to brand them at all. That's just what I like to do. They say handmade by Whitney with love. And I have my little emblem there. That was another part of staging where they go from one area to another. So when you go to cut your shirt, again, you're going to want your nice fabric scissors. Make sure when you're cutting your shirt, you're not cutting both pieces of the shirt. You want to go inside the shirt. I have seen where some people put, say, like a notebook or a ruler in here to keep you from grabbing the underside of the shirt. All perfectly fine. It's actually probably a good idea. I cut one of my first shirts in the back, trying to cut my zipper out. So, and then I wasted a shirt. So, it's nice to do if you're not used to cutting them. So, you're going to cut down your middle line to the very top of your triangle. So, steady hand right down the middle of that line. Okay. And this fusing keeps that fabric from really getting frayed, and it just keeps it nice and tidy for you. So I cut to the top of that, top of that triangle, and this is where these little precise scissors come in handy. So we're going to cut on either side of the triangle. So from that to the top of this bottom line, and then again on this side. Steady hand down to that bottom line. So now you have this little triangle piece here, and you have the shirt is now open. So this is where our Aleene glue comes in handy. Okay, this is our quick dry fabric fusion. I've already used this one almost up, but it takes literally just a dab. And this is just a fabric adhesive. And it's kind of like a gel almost. When the tip gets a little gummy, I just pull it off. So I have seen people pin these. I've seen people sew them down. We're going to sew it, but this just keeps it out of my way for now. So I put a little dab here. And I mean like a dab, like literally that much. Okay. Then again, I take my tweezers and I'm going to fold this back. You don't want to stretch it back. You just want to gently fold it back. You don't want tension against that line. So I haven't pulled it back hard. I just gently laid it down. And I'm using the end of those tweezers to kind of push down on that fabric glue. And it'll dry, and it's nice. I actually run my machine needle right through it in just a little bit, and it never gums up. It doesn't get caught. It does just fine. So, really good stuff. All right, at this point, and again, this is just how I do it. The person that I watched do it on YouTube, at this point, like to pin it. I am not that coordinated. Okay, so do what you will. So this is my wash-away tape that we have here. See how much I've used. I'm down to this end roll. So it comes in this roll. It's sticky, so it's a double-sided adhesive. This side's not sticky anymore. Take that off. So from here, what we're wanting to do is we're going to do a top stitch. You know, see how this is a jagged with the t-shirt. We don't want this jagged edge exposed, okay? So we kind of have to tidy up. We want this to be a nice, clean project. So I take my double-sided tape here and I'm going to run it down the inside edge of my shirt. Okay, so here we are at the stage where we're going to go ahead and tape the pieces back so we can add our zipper. So I like to take the Dritz Wash-A-Way tape and I run it down this inner part, not putting too much tension on the tape because you don't want it to pucker the fabric. And again on this side, we don't want it to go all the way down because we have a gap, you know, here, and it would show through. So I just start here right at the edge and run it down. Okay. So I like to let that sit for a second. And then, because I just like it to look nice, I do this. Cut a piece about yay big, cut it in half, because depending on the type of shirt that you have, and this is the kind that I have, I like to slide this in right here, just because sometimes as you're sewing this can get bunched up, and if you have it taped here, it just makes a nice clean seam. So I take off that's where these come in handy too, and just pinch it close. Just makes a nice clean seam there. And I do the same with this one. You don't have to do this, it's just something that I think makes it look nicer. Okay, and these guys are trash. Okay, so from here, while that's sitting, it doesn't have to sit. I don't peel that off until I'm ready to tape it because I don't want the adhesive to dry out. Okay, so at this point, we are going to do a top stitch. So what we're going to do in just a second is take this, once this is off, and we're going to stick it back on itself. So then we're going to be left with this for the front side of the shirt. Now, it being taped is fine, but I like to do a top stitch all the way down. That way it gives me a guide. It's just more secure so that the shirt looks nice. While that's sitting, this is the other part that I do. I take my adhesive again. I go through this stuff like crazy, but it's so worth it and it's so quick. I mean, I could make a shirt in about 15 minutes, which for me is fast, let me tell you. So I put one here, that way when I go to place the zipper in the shirt and try to figure out my placing, it just helps keep it secure so that it doesn't wiggle. You can also pin it or do the magic clips if you don't want to use the tape. That's totally up to you. This is just how I prefer to do it. So again, my preference is to run this down each side of the zipper. Again, it just helps with placement when we're putting it inside the shirt. The needle does not get gummed up in this tape. Again, it's water soluble. It washes away. Dritz Wash-A-Way tape. So wherever it's at right now, a few washes from now, it'll be gone. And what's left in its place are the stitches. So I have it on either side there. And it's, you know, you can reposition as needed. Once it's here, I also like to, before I get it put in, I like the ends of my zipper to lay down prior to me stitching, just because, again, I'm not a master stitcher, and that just helps me to place these tails right where I want them to be. Okay, so I like to put these here and here, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Okay, so now we're at the point where we're going to do our top stitching on our shirt. So we're going to take off this top portion of adhesive, or adhesive cover, and we're left with the adhesive. So At this point, I like to just fold it over on itself, really just the width of that 1/4 inch. You're going to be able to feel when you go to fold where it needs to fold. It's not going to be here. You can kind of see it creating its own crease because that tape is there, and it helps to create kind of that edge so that you can fold it pretty nicely. So there's my sort of 1/4 inch here. All right. We're also going to fold this side down again towards us about that 1/4 inch area, because that's what our wash-away tape is, 1/4 inch. And all the way down. And we're not pulling, we're not tugging. We don't want the fabric to be stretched out. We're just folding it without pulling and tugging. You can see right here, this is where I've glued that little tail down, and this just creates sort of a little pocket. I'll show you when I get it turned inside out. So now we have our shirt turned back where we want it to be. So we're right side out. Here's our tag. And so here is our section for our right-sided port. So you can see we have a nice slit here. We have a nice area here for our metal to go. So you can kind of take that taped zipper. Again, I still have the top on the Dritz here, and we're just going to slide it in, okay, just to kind of see where everything falls. You know, make sure we've measured correctly. It's a little late now, but all right. And that metal piece, you can see where we cut that little square or that little triangle, it just kind of fits right there. Okay, so I see where the zipper is, where I want it to be. Okay. Again, some people will pin here, some people will magic clip. Again, the tape for me has been a game changer. We've turned our shirt inside out, so now we're going to do our top stitching here. So I'm going to slide the machine over, and here we are with our machine. So we've got our thread loaded just as we want. We're going to do a top stitch down on either side all the way around. Okay, so again, I don't teach sewing. So there's plenty of videos on how to do this. This is just how I like to do it. Don't come for me. And again, we're not machines. This is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be perfectly made with love. That's what I like to say. So starting here. And I like to go almost to the end of the collar, do a back stitch just to make sure it's nice and secure. And see, this is the part where it would have been going through that double-sided adhesive in here, and we're not getting gummed up at all. Okay, so it's working fine. And we're just going to make a top stitch all the way down and around. Again, not pulling on our fabric, just allowing the machine to take it in. Make sure your shirt's not getting caught up in the back here. Okay, if you can hear my family in the background, they're having a good time. We have tacos tonight. Got the kids over. Alright, so we're gonna slide it around here. And we don't want to pull, we don't want to tug. We just want to gently lay our foot down, go straight across. Okay, just gently, gently, gently. And you can do a hand sew if you need to there. And we're going to turn this way. All right. We're going to go straight up the other side now. You can get some skip stitches there over the top of that collar. I like to back stitch here as well. Just make sure that's nice and clean. Sometimes you can get some skip stitches over that collar. You can use a hump jumper for that. I haven't had to do that, but you can if you need to. Okay. All right, so here we are with our shirt. And we can take these pieces here. We're snipping off the excess from our top stitching. Okay. And here's our nicely top stitched shirt. Okay. So, step one. Well, step mini. So at this point we can lay our zipper into the shirt. That little piece just fell off. We're going to line this up. Okay. And we try to line it up to where the metal is pretty even there in between. You don't want to pull or tug on the fabric because then you're going to have puckering. Okay. So we just want to make sure that it kind of lines up, and it does pretty good. If you have to, you can reposition your Dritz tape if it's too close to the zipper. I don't like it quite that close, so I like to get it about there. Probably reposition this side as well. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and pull this side down. And again, not pulling or tugging, we're just pretty much lying it down. And you can also reposition the shirt. Okay, to lay that down and come back down this way. This side. This is a little close to the zipper for me, so I like to go here. Okay, super easy. And you don't want to pull on this because you can see some fraying here, but once we get it sewn down, it'll be fine. Again, I'm no machine. This is just me doing my best. Okay, so here we go. It's nice and even. Right here, I like to take this off. I like to tack it back. See? Tack that back away. And this is really just holding it until I can get it sewn down. I like to make sure it's even here. Okay? You don't want this one up here and this one here. So I just kind of eyeball it. Get it just like that. Now we're ready to do our final sew. Okay? Here we go. All right, so pull it down and get her going. I'm going to try to follow the top stitch as closely as I can. Down, back stitching. Again, it's not going to be perfect, so I just let the machine take it in. This is why I can't do contrasting thread, because it gets kind of goofy. I like to zip that up in this area. Now right here, I try to go a little slower because I do like to reinforce my stitching because this area takes some abuse from all the up and down zippers. Okay, so then I like to reinforce there. I do like to reinforce here. Just a couple times, back and forth. And then straight up the other side, guys. And I'll try to kind of eyeball. I got about to here on my reinforcement, so going slowly. Gets kind of goofy. Machine tape it from me. Make sure you're not getting the back of the shirt when you're stitching. I like to kind of zip as I go. Now right here you can kind of see how this little lip is wanting to flip out. The sticky part is still there, so I like to just hold that and make sure it stays as because I don't want it to pull up and then my stitching falls short. So I like to kind of just make sure that stays. I go kind of slow here. So I go up, do some back stitching, and we're done. There's my thread cutter there. Oops. There we go, guys. We have a port shirt. Again, it's not perfect, but it's perfect for its purpose, okay? So I just snip off those end pieces. And here we go. That's it, guys. We made a port shirt. Looky there, and it looks pretty darn good. So you can see that Dritz wash-away tape there. Hey, it's gonna wash away, it's fine. You know, my edges are folded down nice, it's good. My edges are tucked. So there's our shirt. Okay. And there we go. All right, and I usually tell my patients, you know, wash on, you know, wash hot, cold, whatever it is, and then dry on medium, again, because it's this 100% cotton, that brand that I use. Ah, hey, this one's a 50, this is a cotton poly, so, this style number, I don't know the style number, but, also great. So poly cotton, you know, you can draw on whatever. I still use all my stuff on medium, but this should give them, you know, a good durable shirt to use, very cost effective, very comfortable. The inside of the shirt, you don't have any exposed metal. You know, that fusing is not going to stick anybody because we did use that medium weight. I've not had anybody complain about the edges of the zipper, the fabric here. I guess you could clip these if you wanted to. I don't. But here's our shirt, guys. So that's somebody that's going to get blessed with the shirt. Stitching looks good. So I'm happy, and I hope you guys are too. Make whatever improvements you can or whatever you desire. You know, you can use contrasting thread if you're confident enough. You know, all kinds of fun zipper colors. You can make, I made another friend a double shirt, so he had a zipper here as well. You know, some patients have, you know, devices or needs, catheters, where they would need both sides of the shirt to come down, so feel free to make this adaptive clothing however fits your life. Okay, thanks guys, I hope you really enjoyed.